Dalton, what got you started in reef tanks?
Well, my daughter wanted for her Christmas present in 23, she wanted some clownfish and a tank in her bedroom. So I went and bought a 20-gallon tank, some clownfish, and I just went too crazy with it. I added a lot, made hers a reef tank. She's got a full 6-port dosing system on that. She's got a full mixed reef tank, automatic water tester and everything. And then from there, I just progressively got worse at wanting more.
So that was what's your first time into the tank was back in 2023?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
August of 2023.
And do you have anybody who was like help or guide to you along the way as you got started?
I have had Mr. Kersey. It was a big help with, definitely when I would mess something up, he would help me correct it. And a lot of research online. So yeah, that's about it.
One other question for you that I've got to ask just kind of as background. So on the forums, you are Dalton, Louisianimal, Kersey.
That's right.
What's the story behind the Louisianimal?
Well, it's actually a song that a local rapper made, and being as I was always into animals my whole life, it just kind of flowed. So we just keep it that way.
All right. I had to ask that question that has been bugging me since I first saw your name. I'm like, there's got to be a story there. Okay, so the tank we have here, how big is it, and what's the age?
It's a 200 Innovation Marine 200 EXT. I put this one up in July, at the end of July of last year, in 24. There was a Red Sea Reefer 350 in this place that was put there in September. Yeah, I believe it was September or October. And then was taken, just moved out because I just ran out of room. I kept collecting and I had no more room. So I had to go bigger, and so I ordered this one.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the equipment that you've got on there. Everybody always wants to know about lighting, and I can see you've got a lot of light over that. So tell me about that.
So I have 6 Hydra 32s on the HMS mounting system. Other equipment I also have a full Neptune system over here with Trident and the iPad to watch, so you can monitor it while sitting down on the couch if you want. Also have 2 clear fleece rollers. I have an Aquamax protein skimmer, big protein skimmer. I'm running a Fuge as well because I can't keep my nutrients down for nothing, so I got to do everything I can. And then return pump chamber, I got a couple different things because on the back wall I have media reactors. I also have a UV sterilizer, and that's about it.
So for flow in the tank, I see you've got, are those max specs?
Yes,
in there?
that's the max specs F350s.
How long have you had those since the beginning of this tank, or did they carry over from
since the beginning of this tank? And I absolutely love them.
Kersey had the same thing, and he spoke very, very highly of them. You talked about the sump, you talked about the filtration. What do you got running for a return pump?
It came with the tank. It's the Mighty Jet, the biggest Mighty Jet one they have that comes with Innovative Marine tanks.
Okay. You talked about the controller. What are you doing for water changes? Do you do water changes at all?
I absolutely do. I do weekly water changes. I do about 32 gallons.
32 gallons a week. Is that manual? Like, do you bring buckets out?
No, that's correct.
Siphon it out?
Yep, I have a brute tank. I have a little return pump on a hose. Then on the other end is a PVC pipe, and it hangs on. So that way, like when I'm got the return pump in here going into one barrel, when that one's full, I just take the return pump, put it there, and I hang it on the outside.
Okay.
That way you ain't got to sit there and hold it. Try to streamline the ease of it, because when I'm going at work, I got to make it easy for my wife.
I hear that. My wife's nodding over there in the corner off camera saying, yeah, you got to make it easy for the wife. What about dosing? What are you doing to add nutrients or other things to the tank?
Well, I am doing BRS's 2-part at the moment. It is about to change because I am now that I'm set up with 6 dosers, what I'm going to do is actually probably starting next week, I'm gonna mix up some calc. I'm gonna start dosing calc, and then probably gonna dose that just at night is what I'm thinking. A lot of it at night, and do the 2 BRS hybrid balling tropic marin 2-part method with that part C, their A and K in the alkalinity and calcium, and still do my normal alkalinity and calcium and magnesium as needed. I'm also dosing flatworm stop. I don't have flatworm, but it's got other good benefits to adding it to the tank from what I understand in the research and friends telling me about. Hey, you got to add that flatworm stop. It helps your corals out amazingly. So yeah, so that's all what I'm dosing. That's what I'm dosing now, and then what I'm gonna be dosing.
Okay. So testing, I know I already asked the question because whenever I see a new gadget, I got to know about it. But what are you doing for testing for everybody that's going to be watching this?
I'm using the Lamont Spin Touch.
Okay, and that test, give me a rundown of what that tests.
It tests alkalinity, pH, calcium, magnesium, nitrate, phosphate, nitrite, ammonia.
All in one thing, so you just put in a sample and press go and it gives you the numbers.
You put in right at about 3 milliliters of water in the disc, and you press the button after you put it in there, and in 2 minutes you have your results.
Wow, I like that idea.
And there's a lot of speculations on it not being an accurate tester. I've tested it up against HANA, and they've been spot on with the HANA testers I have. This just makes it easier because I've had so many tanks.
Yeah. So,
and the phosphate isn't an ultra low reader. That's one thing that kind of scares people. I run high nutrients, so it don't bother me none.
Yeah.
Because I'm typically running outside. I'm typically running high enough nutrients that it's going to detect on their test. If it's under 0.1, it's not going to test. It's not going to detect on there because it's not an ultra low.
Okay. You also, I think, said you had a Trident in
yes,
there.
Sir.
So you're also testing out calc, magnesium. Do you have that tied into your dosing? I know you can tie that in.
Sir.
So you're just using it as a monitoring.
That's correct. The Trident, it's an okay piece of equipment. It's
How close is it to your Spin Touch from a testing perspective?
It stays pretty accurate until I have to change reagents.
Yeah, when the reagents get low.
Right, but I've also had problems with Tridents in the past. This is probably my 5th one since I've been doing this. One bout almost burned up my house because I come inside and smell like coming out the dosing container. Just the pump got smoked.
Wow.
You know, the thing is, people doing the dosing control with the Trident and the dose systems, more power to them. I just don't have enough faith in them.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, let's talk about the parameters that you're running the tank at. So temp, what are you shooting for from a temp perspective?
I try to shoot for 78. I'm staying. It fluctuates about 1 degree.
Up or down?
Up or down, correct. That's typically what it's fluctuating. Alkalinity, I shoot for 8.2. Calcium, I shoot for 420. Magnesium, I shoot for 15.
Wow. 1,500 on the magnesium.
Yes, sir.
So you're running what most people would say a little bit lower on calcium. Most people are shooting for like 450. And alkalinity, a lot of people like to push that. I mean, I know people that push it 10, 11, and you're running around 8.2, which is actually closer to natural seawater.
Right. So and I find, and this goes back to having help with Kersey. Kersey explains to me why he does the way he does, and it also gives you a little room for margin of error, right? If you are, say you're already at the higher numbers and your doser fails, you know, and it dumps more than what it's supposed to, and you might mess something up. But he found his corals were happier with the slightly lower alkalinity. So, and I kind of just followed his footsteps with that.
Okay. And then on the magnesium, 1,500 most people would say is high, interestingly enough.
Well, the Euphilia love high magnesium.
They love high magnesium?
They love it, and that's why I run it that way. And actually, my stick style, I don't have a whole lot of sticks, but even my sticks are liking it.
Okay. What about your phosphates and nitrates? Where you're running those?
They running high. So for a while I was running at about a 0.5, which is 0.50 on your ultra low readers. With GFO, I've been running GFO. I got to change GFO on a regular basis. I'm staying at around a 0.2.
Okay.
That's been my goal. It's unrealistic for me to get anything lower than a 0.1. So I try to stay from a 0.2 to a 0.1. That's more realistic for me to stay stable. And honestly, my sticks are loving it. They're growing. Since I put them in there, they grew crazy. They weren't colorful at first, but they got their color back since they've been used to it. Everything else seems to love it. Nitrates. Now we've been feeding heavy. We just scaled it back a little bit, but we was going up to about 60 parts per million on nitrates here recently.
Okay.
So we scaled back a little bit on the feeding, and I think it's due to the high bio load of all the fish. I got a lot of fish in this tank. So right now I'd like to stay around 30, but I think we were at around 40.
Okay. All right.
Once we water change.
What are you running your salinity at?
1.025.
Okay. And you refractometer, or what do you use to test
I have
that?
my Hannah tester is a digital one.
One of those digital ones you put in the water?
Yes, sir.
And then, do you do any kind of external, like you send things for ICP testing or anything like that?
That's actually next week. That's my project next week, because they were all, when I was gonna send it before I left for work last time, they was out of the office until January 2nd, so. And so I didn't pay for me to send it. I'm sending that Monday, actually, tomorrow.
Are you planning to do that regularly, or is that just gonna be a once in a while check thing?
That's more to come on that. I think it'd be smart of me to do it more often.
Okay. Anything else that you're testing that you would, share the levels of?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm not testing none of the trace elements or anything like that.
Okay. Let's talk about livestock, because that's what the most exciting part, why most of us are in this hobby. Give us a little tour of what you got over there in the tank. Obviously, everybody can see a lot of euphilia, a lot of torches in there.
Yep, so we got, various torches, some low end, some high end, various holy grails. I got the BK Kim Grinch, is a buddy of mine. I'm holding it down for him. I got this holy grail variant here that's super bright. Another holy grail variant. Then this one, it's not colored up, but that's an ASD holy grail. This one's a Hellfire. That one's looking more and more like a Rapunzel, but that's not what it was sold as. It was sold as a TSA Holy Grail, but that's not what it is. CC24K, Indo Gold, Todd's torch in the back. The green one got the Banana Master and a Cotton Candy. Got a big clam in the back.
What kind of clam is it?
I couldn't even say the name, man.
Okay.
I got terrible in parish school districts. Then I got some Scolies. My little Scolie garden right here. Got some jawbreakers in there. I don't even know what kind of meat coral that is. We got an Elegance. Got a meat coral here. Holy Grail Micromusa. Various acans. I don't know all the names of the sticks, but I got a couple of different sticks up there I bought. I'd have to go and look on my invoice. The gold hammers. These are some bi-colored hammers. And then I got a Holy Grail hammer from Worldwide Coral. And then I got these hologram hammers here. And then I got some frog spawns on the side, as well as these right here.
And what about the fish? So clearly you've got quite the collection of fish in there as well.
So probably about 4 months ago, I had bought a black longnose tang, and I put it in the tank, and it brought in marine velvet.
Ooh.
And it smoked all but 3 fish: a blue chromie, my magnificent foxface that's in here somewhere, and my purple tang. Oh, there he is, and my purple tang's right here. So after I went fallow for, I think it was 60 days. I did a 60-day fallow period, and I in the process of that, I started finding more fish. and I put them in QT. So most of them about 3 weeks, right, 3 weeks before we put all the fish back in, that's when I started collecting them back. I got a bunch of live tails. I got a Dusamini tang. That's a koi tang. I got it from a buddy of mine. Blonde Naso is my purple. Magnificent foxface back there. I got a lieutenant tang. Some black snowflake clowns. I got a gem tang hide in the back. And I got a pyramid butterfly.
Pyramid butterfly doesn't bother any of your corals at all?
No, sir. Not since I put them in there.
All the butterflies are hit or miss, I know, and so people are always hesitant about them.
Well, from what I understand, that was your more reef safe one.
Okay.
From the research I found that they were more prone to be reef safe.
What's your favorite coral and what's your favorite fish in the tank?
All right, so my favorite fish, I'd have to say, is my magnificent foxface. And my favorite coral would be that BK Grinch.
Okay.
The coloration on it is just blows your mind.
Which one is the fox face?
The fox face is this one right here. He's hiding right here. He's coming around.
Oh, I see him. He's beautiful.
What do you, so you've got a lot of fish. They look pretty healthy. What are you feeding? And how often?
So we got the Hikari. We bought a big packs of Hikari spinellini shrimp. I probably can't say that right. Some mysis shrimp.
Yep.
And then we have a herbivore mix that's frozen we feed. Every now and then we may feed some pellets, but we're not real big pellet food feeders. And they get nuri twice a day. They get one sheet cut in half in the morning and in the evening.
So I'm curious, as somebody who also has a number of tangs, and I see you're probably using the two little fishes clip over there. Do they manage to eat all your nori, or do you find it floating around the tank?
Every night, they eat most of it. If they rip a piece off, it might float around, but they'll go back and pick it up.
Okay.
They're pretty good at getting most of it up.
All right, well that's pretty good. How often are you feeding the mixture?
Oh, that's every day.
Just once a day, multiple times a day?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, multiple times a day, multiple times, twice.
Twice a day?
Because Antheus fish, I learned this from hard times, not understanding Antheus need to eat more than once a day.
Yeah.
So we feed about the same amount, we just do it more than once.
Okay.
And because we don't do a whole lot of pellet foods, that's why we don't have an automatic fish feeder. It also helps you stay more personal.
Yeah.
If you do it by hand.
Yeah, you get to see and interact with the fish.
Right, I can streamline everything, and then how much fun am I really having at that point?
Well, your wife might think it's more fun. So you already mentioned that you had marine velvet, and that was probably a big crisis. Any other instances you've had with the tank, any kind of pests or issues you've had?
So, I've had Aptasia
Okay.
before. I kind of let it go. I guess I tried to keep doing Aptasia X, and they just kept coming up more and more. So I kind of just let them grow out a little bit, and I went and bought some neuter branches.
They take care of all of them?
They took all of them, and then I was hoping I had enough that way they could stay alive. But once they were all gone, I haven't seen them no more either. So I'm pretty sure they passed away as well.
Yeah.
Once they got full.
But you've seen no Aptasia since
No, sir.
Oh wow, oh, that's great.
I do have which my wife found it, which we didn't know what it was. The manjo anemone.
Yeah.
She found two of them. One was on the clam. She killed that one, and actually, I'm sorry, I say two. She found some more on that rock on the end. So actually, after this, it's probably on my list to do today. Is I'm gonna pull them hammers and all off of that rock, and I'm gonna go let it sit outside and dry out. I'm gonna clean it and dry it out.
Take care of them.
Yeah, right. Instead of trying to make them possibly spread by keep trying to spread stuff on them.
Well, that's a much easier problem to deal with than the velvet, I'm sure. The velvet was, I'm sure, a crazy thing to deal with.
Yeah, it was eventful. It really, a good thing I ran a high nutrient tank, because for the whole fallow period, I didn't have to dose no nitrates or phosphates. I managed to bring it all back down slowly up until 60 days.
All right, what about, you talked about that you're going to be changing over what you're doing for dosing. Any other types of future plans for the tank?
No, not at the moment. No, just keep collecting, and that's about it. I mean, I pretty much did everything up front with it that I wanted to do, outside of the changing how I dose.
Okay, and then just for everybody out there, what's the best piece of advice you think you've gotten along the way?
I'm chasing pH. I don't worry about chasing all the other numbers. I chase my pH though.
Wow, and I forgot to ask you about that. What do you run your pH at?
My pH, I try to stay at about an 8.2. It's very difficult for me, obviously, with all the animals I have in my house and people that live here. Actually, running just a CO2 scrubber would not do it.
Really?
So that's what that white pipe is going through my wall. It's actually, I got a line going outside through my attic that's tied to my protein skimmer. I'm pulling fresh air from outside all the time, 24/7.
And that's able to keep your pH up?
It helps it stay more stable, but it doesn't stay up all the time. At night, I'm still dropping at close to 0.8.
And then kind of my last question, what else should I have asked you that I didn't ask you yet?
No, that's about it. I mean, keep your tank stable, keep your parameters stable. And if you're looking into getting into salt water, don't be intimidated with how hard people make it is. With a little bit of research and having somebody to do it with you goes a long way as far as being successful. You know, if you could just keep your stuff stable and understand what each thing does and serves its purpose in this ecosystem, and the proper lighting. The lighting's a big factor too. You start using cheap lighting, you're not going to get the results you really need. It's also, you know, it might not grow, it might not color up. So understanding PAR, understanding what is going on inside your tank is a big step.
That actually reminds me of something that I didn't ask you when we talked about lighting. What do you typically run the PAR at? So what's it at roughly at the top of the tank?
So right now I'm at about 380 all across the top. This one's probably at about 400, that one little rock. I'm sitting about 150 on the sand bed. In the very back corners is about 60. And in this mid-level right here is about 200.
Okay. Well, look, I really appreciate you inviting us into the house and letting us take some pictures and some video and doing an interview about the tank. Really excited. You are my first one, but
awesome.
We are very excited to keep this going on a monthly basis. So everybody watch this, stay in touch, and there will be more of these to come. Thank you very much, Dalton.
Yes, sir.